Yep, I hear it all the time. Do I actually need an employee handbook? And if so, what's supposed to be in the darn thing? I'll answer both those questions and more. Stay tuned. Hi, entrepreneurs. I'm Vicki Brown, and you're in the right place if you want to engage your team, boost your business, and grow your leadership muscle. So, I bet I know what you're thinking. I don't need a handbook. We're so small, everyone knows what they need to do. Besides, a handbook is so corporate-y, and we're just not like that. And hey, if I don't have any formal policies written down, then I can't be held to anything, right? Ah, if only it were that simple. Written or not, as an employer, there's a host of policies you're held to, from the feds, your state, maybe even your county or city. So don't fool yourself. They exist whether you choose to write them down or not. And while you may think everyone knows what they need to do, everyone may not know what they shouldn't do, or what the process is if they don't do what they should do, and on and on. Now, in all fairness, I've heard some labor attorneys say they prefer their clients not have a handbook so they don't get tripped up in written policies. If something happens, they can just say, it was a policy to do it this way or that way. No, we don't write our policies down. But I haven't heard that in quite a few years. It's because the landscape is just too treacherous these days. It's like going into battle with no playbook and no shield. Besides, a policy that isn't properly communicated to and acknowledged by the employee is kind of like a tree falling in the forest. Did it happen at all? Okay, before you let that pit in your stomach develop, think about this. There is no need for this to be a back in the day personnel manual, some giant 3-ring binder of a book that just sits on shelves collecting dust. Your employee handbook can reflect your company's unique culture and be delivered in a current, searchable format, something your team can find easy to use and reference. Why not put it on your intranet? What? You don't have an intranet. Okay, in an upcoming episode, I'll show you how to easily make one for no or low cost. After all, it could be an unlisted landing page on your website or a separate low-cost Wix site. We'll get into all that later. Anyway, back to the handbook. Get the acknowledgement part done through e-signatures. Make it part of your company SOPs and part of the onboarding process for all new hires. It should be front and center and easily accessible. Now, on to the content. I categorize the handbook content into 4 buckets: critical must-have policies, important should-have policies, culture support policies, and the ooh, don't forget that policies. Let's take a peek into each bucket. Critical must-have policies are things such as the harassment-free and discrimination-free workplace policies. They should outline what's prohibited conduct, how someone can get help, and what your company will do once you've been notified of a problem. Now, obviously, with the Me Too movement, this is one of the first areas that will come under scrutiny if there's an issue. Other policies I'd group in this bucket include the American with Disabilities Act, your policies on time off, such as sick leave, vacation, holidays, jury duty, and other similar policies. Important should-have policies are things such as outlining employee job status, exempt versus non-exempt and what each means, pay dates, working hours, use of company technology, confidentiality, conflict of interest, and whistleblower. Nope, whistleblower is not just for the government. Violence in the workplace, smoke-free and drug-free workplace, how you handle poor performance, and what happens if someone resigns or is terminated. In the culture support policies bucket, I include things like anti-nepotism, what happens if an intimate relationship develops at work, open communication, and training and development. And the don't forget bucket holds the safety and health policies, business attire, family members and visitors in the workplace, and other similar policies. Now, as you might guess, these aren't the only policies you can put in a handbook, and you may choose to skip some on the list. By the way, hopefully you're only choosing from the culture or the hey, don't forget buckets to skip. Just make sure you do include the critical and important policies. And start the handbook out with your mission and vision statements. And a quick hello from leadership isn't a bad idea either. And for goodness sake, don't forget to include both the at-will statement and the "this book is not a contract" statement. You don't want someone using your handbook to try to prove that they thought they were under contract and couldn't be terminated at any time. At the end, make sure you have an acknowledgement statement and a place for the employee to sign off. You should keep a record of the acknowledgement in the employee's personnel file and get a new one anytime a policy is updated. Oh, by the way, don't forget to date the handbook and any revisions. Which brings me to the question, how often should the handbook be updated or revised? Well, definitely when laws change, and lately in California that seems to be every 6 months, and whenever any of your company policies are changed. So if you decide to increase the amount of vacation you'll provide, you should update the handbook. My final piece of advice, don't try to do this yourself. I have seen the language in handbooks come back to bite the employer, and bite them hard. So it's important that you enlist the help of an HR expert or labor counsel. I think you know which one I suggest you try. Either way, the point is get help, because you do need a handbook and you do need a good one. If you found this information helpful, please subscribe and share. And remember, your inspired leadership is the secret sauce to having a high-performance team and a wildly successful business you'll love. I'll see you next time on Leader's Journey.